Blessed Shabbat, Yasha Allah, to all the brethren in the diaspora. East, west, north, and south. We greet you, Yasha Allah, on this Shabbat morning. In the name of your Father, Yahweh, Mashiach, the Blessed One, even the Mighty One of Yahweh, in the Blessed Ruach. We give thanks always by our Father, Yahweh, in Mashiach and the Ruach for this wonderful privilege that we have. Indeed, very wonderful. I think the public expression of my sentiment being expressed to you is that, and this is how they say it in the public world there. First, they misname us, and then they do their commentary. How do these Jews live? How are they getting along? How are they surviving? That's the common thought they throw out concerning the 12 tribes. They put the false name of the Edomite doing on us, always seeking to hide us. And so, but they're quite astounded that after 400 years of brutal destruction in the midst of the 12 tribes, they are still a representation of that people that were so broken up, scattered, and owned by another people. And so the commentary goes on in the earth. They hide behind the bushes to whisper, how do these people make it? We thank the Most High. We're going to show them today how the people make it. 1 Timothy chapter 3. 1 Timothy chapter 3. Verse 1, it says, this know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. We have a very interesting introduction here, as always with the scriptures, the word of the Most High. And this introduction, I think, is we can use the word arresting to describe it. It is like being forced to halt, to stop what you're doing, to stop going where you were intending to go, and take note. This note, perilous time come in the last day, in the last days. And as it has been my privilege at the guidance of the Ruach who created the heaven and the earth with the Father and Mashiach, his word. We we have come into knowledge of some serious matters concerning the last day or the last days, and with regards to the development of relations between the two brothers that came into contention over birthright, Esau and Yaakov. At length we have studied, going into the scripture, and with the scriptural outline and definition of terms in regards to the relationship between these two brothers and the separate paths that each of them have taken. It is providing a wealth of knowledge for us who are the primary receptionists of the brutality from the other brother called Esau, who despised birthright, but has taken up a bid from Satan to steal the birthright and have it in his possession. And I have to put a but in this commentary. The but has to do with the fact that ultimately the one that Esau has come to face off with, as the scripture calls it, the master of esteem. This was the one born in the cradle with the 12 tribes. He's the master of heaven and earth. And but Esau, having determined to go with Satan, Gabriel, on that blind trip to take possession of the birthright that he didn't want. He has been on that quest for some time. And we have had the privilege, albeit a strenuous exercise of faith, a strenuous exercise of focus of attention towards this matter of subversion of the birthright having been given to Yaakov, whose ultimate leader or leadership becomes the one that was born in the cradle, the days of Pilate, the days of Herod the king, whom Edom sought so valiantly. And with all his techniques to get a hold of this birthright blessing and destroy it, because that was his quest. as we see in the book of Perilous, Genesis chapter 25, 26, and 27, thereabout, Esau expresses his determination to get rid of this birthright, or the birthright blessing that is the Mashiach, eventually born in the days of Herod and Pilate. So, as of late, we have been following the development of the oppositional forces with regards to Jacob or Jacob standing against the intrusion upon the birthright by Esau under the guardianship and the leadership of Satan and all the demonic forces. We got to lay it straight so that the world could have a direct and correct understanding of the strenuous weight of existence that is upon each individual, each community, and each, I guess, each niche of civilization. Because, you know, the Most High has split up the inhabitants of the earth and gave them inheritance, different areas. Although, of late, Esau under Satan has come and tried to reorder the placement of people in the earth according to Satan's directions, to confuse the order that the Most High set up already. And withal, he has followed the guidelines of Satan to place himself more or less wherever he would like to be. So much so that in the 400-year enslavement exercise that is shown in Bereshit chapter 15, the vision that troubled our forefather Abraham so seriously, we are learning, of course, that in this 400-year prophetic utterance, one, I think, one chief expression of perilous times has come. In the 400-year enslavement experience was developed a situation that is termed the blood oath covenant. This blood oath covenant was formulated and forged, put together in the height of the French Revolution. Remember, they had that you know, the problem of being able to feed themselves they had the economic crisis in France, that France was able to bring some solution to. Of course, in the period of the French Revolution that arose over the economic crisis, was developed the I guess we can call it the famed Enlightenment period, or time of the Enlightenment. You heard about the Enlightenment period, developed in the same general time of the economic crisis. And, they developed ideas like the age of reason and so forth. There are a number of high-profile thought development with the French Revolution over the economic crisis that Napoleon and the Catholic Church was able to solve by the amalgamation of the Catholic Church priesthood having engrafted those of the fallen priesthood of the Levites, who were genuine priests of the Most High. So the Levites, became a part of the Catholic Church and the choir and their priesthood as well, before or subsequent, leading up to the expression of the type of, or the kind of camaraderie that allowed them to work together. And this is an undercover matter that the French, of course, in my opinion, would not like, or would not have liked, to have their business exposed, because one very serious matter was brought to light in the French Revolution, with the amalgamation, the coming together of the Levitical, or the fallen Levitical priesthood, with the French Jesuit priesthood. And it is called the Blood Oath Covenant. We discussed it at length here. And it is a matter of great concern, as well as it is a rich historical development for observation and critical analysis. We find that in the effort to bring relief to the economic crisis that blossomed into the French Revolution. The breaking up of the Catholic Church society, more or less. They put down the Pope, whoever he was at the time. I don't remember right now. So the French were cleaning house to help deal with its economic problem. So the Pope was reigning on top of everybody with his need for indulgences and all that kind of political crap. And Robespierre and the rest of them, Voltaire and Rousseau and all of them, they were up in arms with the Catholic Church. And so they created the Age of Reason and so on and so forth. It is a rich heritage of idealism that have developed out of the French Revolution. But the underlying and most serious accomplishment in the French Revolution was the gain of the fallen Levitical priests of the Most High, turning himself over to Satan to be the anti-Messiah. And this I hold to be the cardinal point that the French Revolution had been concerned with keeping under wraps. They didn't want that to come out. England and all the rest of them didn't want that to come out. They want to keep that hid. And in their own time, in Satan's time clock, spring it on the world. And you would see, like, I guess I could use the imagery of a Black Panther. I'll use that. You would see the anti-Messiah, the fallen Levitical priest, turned into this political giant that was so beneficial to France's economic crisis, to offer them a solution to soothe the hunger and poverty in the French Revolution. And that solution was the offering of the House of Judah for slaves. It was the Haitians, the fallen Levites, that began slavery for 400 years. Well, Esau gets to take the credit. And as a matter of fact, by reason of political development, was able to spearhead the movement, the slavery movement. That what's his name? The Willie Lynch. That Willie Lynch took the title for when he put his document together, following Levi's beginning of the slavery. This is the reality of the history that France would not tell you, nor would England tell you, nor would any of them tell you. They'll have it in their secret documents, yes, but they wouldn't tell you. But the power of this word is able to unravel it and has brought it out that you may see. And therefore, not the development of the anti-Messiah was not the only madhouse achievement of Napoleon and the Catholic Church. You had some residual effects of the French Revolution. For instance, the Blood Oath Covenant that was forged between the Catholic priesthood and the fallen Levitical priesthood. And this Blood Oath Covenant has been the beneficiary of the enslavement of the house of Judah and the rest of the tribes for 400 years. You had it spoken of by Yahweh himself unto his son Abraham, who was baffled by the revelation. I guess he was scratching and shaking his head, many times, getting to view the events coming, to shake the foundation of the covenant that was made with him from the intrusion of Esau to have birthright that was out of his league, out of his way. But of course, what we find in the French Revolution with the Blood Oath Covenant binding claims, you had scientific experiment begun. I'm speaking of the scientific experiment of the splicing. Esau was desperate enough for birthright to give Levi the go-ahead and the authority. Esau committed himself to the genius of Levi to do a splicing of himself with Yasharahla. This is the splicing that went on to create this new man. Scriptures talk about a new man with reference to us who are born again in Mashiach, putting off the old man, getting a new man. This was Satan's creation, with Esau at the controls and Levi running a close second in hopes of attaining to the position of world domination in the prospect of the coming anti-Messiah. And so you see here on the bottom the heart of the son of Yehuda, who was brought into 400 years subjection. You see the heart here. And on top of it, the head of Levi. This was the splicing that took place at the hand of Levi himself. And Esau committed himself to the experiment. This is what went on in the blood oath covenant deal. This splicing. So the head of Esau was leading the heart of Judah. And this would now explain to you the crisis, the blood pressure. This would explain to you the crisis with temperament explosion. Because Levi took the privilege to fuse together two enemies that in scripture will never cleave together. In the womb, as you read in Perilous chapter 25, they were struggling. Our mother, Raquel, struggling with these twins in her womb, couldn't get along. And here you had Levi splicing, and put them together like this to give Esau an advantage. Splice them together. And this is the reason for the great fuse. There's a fusion, of course, yes, but I'm speaking about the fuse of civilization with respect to these two brothers that are the center of world history, Esau and Jacob. So Levi went and fused them together. That's why you're having sleepless nights, because your temperament is crossed, has been crossed by the Levitical priests' experiment in the time of blood oath covenant process. This is what was going on in there, in secret. And so having success with the experiment, or achieving the what I need to say, the unifying of the heart of Judah, sunken in sorrow, in enslavement, and the brutality of the whip. Now he's brought to be united. His heart has been spliced from the position of the valves, the heart valves, going from the heart up to the brain. Then spliced, shut off at one point and reconnected at the point where it's been shut off by the brain thrust of another. Therefore, we have so many sleepless nights because of this cross, because of this splicing that Levi took control of. This is why we have so much high blood pressure. And this is why we have all the drive-by shooting, all the, these reckless Esau shootings. I mean, they couldn't get along as separate individuals when they were born. You think they're going to get along now when you have Levi fusing them together in this manner? It is a result of this fusion that has led into the prospect and the actual work of cloning, because the cloning came to give validity to this new hybrid as a thing of nature. They want to put the blessing of nature on it, creating it first and then letting it go through the process of natural procreative birth. This is how the cloning came about. Courtesy of Levi, and blessed by Esau, who wanted the birthright. So here you see Levi's head, Esau's head, reigning on the heart of Judah. This is what was achieved in the blood oath covenant matter. And therefore, I believe it explains very well the perilous times of the last day, because you had an experiment courtesy the fallen Levitical priesthood, who is now in place of the anti-Messiah, with the intention and the prerogative to rule the whole earth in that mode of existence. So, having done the splicing between Esau and Jacob, it leaves Levi free. Is to be the mad doctor. I guess maybe that's how come they put together the movie Jekyll and Hyde, because of the cloning, the splicing scenario, which I'm disclosing for our edification, Yasha Allah, for the edification of the whole world. Jekyll and Hyde. Now, the thing about it, the very good thing about it, that this hybrid created by the splicing of the priesthood, the fallen priesthood of Levi. See, Esau's priesthood in the Catholic Church could not manage such a technique. They had no soul to be able to do it. All they had was some guns, and machinery to create war and physical destruction, but it had no brain power to do such as what Levi did. So they were on hold and quite accepting of Levi's direction to spearhead this splicing business. And then, they were glad to see themselves as dominant on top of the house of Judah, the Howdah. So it took now the power of the crucifixion, the blood of the Mashiach, and the power of the resurrection to break through the impact of that splicing technique of Levi to upset the balance and restructure the natural ordering of the blood circulation between the heart and the brain. Power of the crucifixion or the work secured by the crucifixion of the Mashiach when he went down into Sheol to do his ministry and come back. He had to do a lot of recreative work. So he had to come down to our time from his crucifixion in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. He had to come down to our time and fix this business of splicing the hearts with the heart of Judah, with the brain of Esau. This is what the Mashiach had to accomplish, among other matters we have discussed with you at length. So the craziness that you see going on, and relationship-wise, you see Esau getting out his guns and going wild through the crowd and spraying bullets and killing people. It's because of the connection that was created, that was put together in the blood of the covenant to combine the heart of Judah with the head of Levi. Now, I am not fully cognizant of the fact with regards to the knowledge of whether this Judite that was used was directly a Levite or, say, another member of Judah, say from the tribe of Judah itself. I know that the attempt was made on my life to induct me into the place of a sacrificial offering for Levi. That was done to me. Basically a 70-year experiment that the Messiah delivered me from last year, May, from the time I was a baby. This I know. You can't run that off of me. I know it. So I understand this cloning thing. This, what's the first thing? This cut and paste thing that Levi had done to create this new man with Esau having precedent over the house of Judah or Yahweh, white man over the black man. That's how Levi set it up. But the power of the blood of the Mashiach, the transforming power of the blood of the Mashiach, has had to break through the barriers that Levi set up to make Esau be head and to become the bearer of headship over the covenant that he despised. All this was done to secure this. So Jews, in my opinion, was created also in the blood of covenant scenario. I may be wrong about that exactly, and I don't mind being wrong. I'm trying to build a picture to let you see what the historical workings were and how we get to this place where you have this red man in the homeland of the Mashiach. I mean, the Mashiach, who created the heaven and the earth, as his homeland. But you have Esau, it's his homeland, so he gonna make a contest for it. Because of the splicing. This was not a splicing where they went into the body and took out, what you call it, the little thing, the little frog with the sperm, and put it together with an ovum and so on. No, they went surgically by voodoo and put this thing together, the Levites, by magic. And so you see the wild fights and the guns and roses coming together. The wildfire, because as I was saying before, already the two brothers were not getting along in the womb of our mother Rivka. Okay, so when you have Levi fusing them together, actually fusing them together magically by voodoo, we have what we have. It takes only the blood of the Mashiach and his surgical intervention to correct it and bring the order that the Most High requires. And the blessing, the great blessing of it on the behalf of Yahweh is that the pull of the Torah on the overall being of the house of Yahweh is what has saved us and continues to pull us out of the blood of covenant um, agreement. It has overridden the magical authority of Levi's voodoo and witchcraft that has produced such a volatile and dangerous outcome to attempt to put Esau over Judah and change the order of the Most High's command, both spiritually and physically. I mean, the two kind of have to work together. But you see the dangerous elements of explosive destruction in the hidden forces of nature by what Levi has accomplished, and that Esau was in agreement to receive it because he wanted headship over the covenant. And Levi provided it for him. And we are looking at the results with wide open eyes today and seeing the shootings and the crazy, volatile actions going on because of the fusion, the magical fusion that Levi achieved, was trying to put Esau on top over Judah. And so we thank the Most High again that though because we have to have all our connections restructured. This is what we're going through. We have to have a restructuring, and that's what the sealing time and the gift of the Ruach is about. We had the application of the blood of the Mashiach, and we're going to have the application of the Ruach going inside in the invisible spaces, in the invisible areas where the magic of Levi went, created all this confusion and explosive relational issues that we're having today. We know the Most High is all powerful, all knowing, and well able to bring to a good conclusion what he has started. And although Satan and Esau has done their work, their best to upset the order in the physical world. We're looking at science now, you see. Levi, Esau has attempted by the order of Satan to overturn the physical elements, the physical structure of life by voodoo and magic. He gave Esau headship of the birthright. That's what we have been experiencing. we might look at this in some other aspect as the Ruach lead us. But right now, we want to leave you with this to help you understand the mercy of the Most High, Yasha Allah, being merciful to us and not allowing our chief adversary, one fallen from Shamayim, to have his way, to dominate us unto total destruction. Of course, you know, Esau is his boy. They're going to work the thing together. But it is the gift of the Ruach. You know, covering and restructuring from the inside the broken connections, the restructuring of physical membranes in the body, to add the tubes of your veins from your heart to Esau's veins to his head. And you got ain't no bomb creation could exceed what will come out of that. What would come out of that? No atom bomb, neutron bomb, or anything else could match the terror that would come out of that. And of course, well, you know, that's Gadriel's forte. That's what Satan liked, destruction. And Esau followed right behind him. That's why he was glad to accept the experiment from Levi to make him head. We know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, what is done in part will be put away. And as yet, we know not totally what we shall be. But according to the book of 1 John, I believe it is, 1 Yochanan, even though we don't know exactly what, what we will look like exactly, but we know that when he shall appear, we talk about Mashiach, when he shall appear, we shall be like him. We shall see him as he is. So every man, every woman in Yasha Allah that has this hope within him, her, we're teaching our babies that they can have this, even as Mashiach is pure. And as in the Most High Yahweh, I think the scripture tells us that he who has begun a good work in us will perfect it until the day of the appearing of our Master, Yahushua. So we look forward. We are looking forward, Yasha Allah, and we are breaking through the restrictions that was put upon us by the blood of the covenant. We bless the Ruach, Spirit of our Father, who's leading us. Let's keep on looking to him, who is the author and finisher of our faith. And we're going to get there, Yasha Allah. We bless you in the name of the Most High.